A 4-circuit CCTV system in Japan shows a woman waiting to get an elevator, but what we're looking at is the woman in the upper right monitor who is about to do the impossible. Did you see it? If not, I'll show you again. This does appear to be at least somewhat edited, especially when you pause halfway through and get that green screen look, but maybe it's just a glitch with the video file, and I need to accept the possibility that it could actually be real. Luan Mendez is a YouTuber who is unafraid to put his life on the line in the name of a paranormal investigation, and as this video goes to show, ready to explore the scariest local legends he can find. One such legend revolves around a dismal force known only as La Senora Fantasma, or the Ghost Lady. The Ghost Lady is said to still roam the home she passed away in years ago. In life, she earned a reputation as a taker of lives and lived a wicked existence full of hatred until the very end. Her spirit is said to still reflect in the bathroom mirror if you go in there and call upon her for an unholy visit, which is tonight's goal. They start by rather rudely calling her name outside of the property, hoping to get her to come through the window. She doesn't appear, so they step inside. The place has been stripped bare, but overall it looks somewhat inhabitable, at least as far as abandoned places go, but it's more about the way it feels than its aesthetics. Something about the small and cramped space that feels ill-fitting and all wrong, like nothing good has ever happened here, and only unimaginable horrors can befall anyone foolish enough to stay inside. They creep their way to the room where her legendary mirror hangs unblemished amidst the clutter. Luan stands alone while his friends keep watch. His tone is expectant and again, not very polite as he addresses the infamous Ghost Lady in more of a challenge than a request.
Aparece aqui, senhora. Vamos ver.
They are all about to leave, but they decide to try to turn on the shower just to see what happens. To their surprise, clean water drips out of a rusty pipe that shouldn't work and doesn't even have a shower head. This was probably where she hung what was left of the lives she took, upside down and filleted open to drain in the shower. Seeing this broken shower work again shortly after doubling her powers makes them rethink their situation and wonder if they should have taken a nicer tone, but that doesn't matter because it's too late now. They are walking towards the exit and everything seems much more negative and dreadful than the first time around, more of a feeling than anything else, as if a great evil has awoken and is spreading across the otherwise plain walls. And that's when she appears, not when Luan tells her to, nor in the mirror where she's supposed to be according to legend, but maybe that's the entire point. Her house, her rules. They hole up in the room for a while and discuss what to do, but the situation takes care of itself by the time they open the door. The lady seems to have proven her point that she is real and vanishes just as quickly as she came. This video would be easy enough to fake because realistically speaking, all they would need is for an older woman to stand in the doorway, which coincidentally is a lot easier to do than actually using special effects to get her into the mirror. For these reasons, I think this video might not be real, but that doesn't necessarily mean the legend itself isn't true, or that something else wasn't watching them from the shadows all along. Do you believe in demonic possession? This scary video might convert you. This video is trending in the Arabic-speaking YouTube community and shows an apparent possession unfolding before our very eyes. A young man is kneeling on the floor, his eyes rolled into the back of his head. The growling sounds coming from deep within him sound demonic. A couple of men stand above him, apparently trying to exorcise the demon out of him, while others are gathered around. One of the men places his hand on the possessed man's forehead. That's where the video ends. Viewers are left to wonder if this man was freed of the demon within, or if he simply continues to live with this evil plaguing him. But I sincerely hope that's not the case.
น้องไม่เคยนั่งรถเมล์เหรอ And I'm like,
Ever wish you had supernatural powers? Well, this video supposedly shows a Thai girl who discovered she did when she was driven to anger at a bus stop. The video, shot in Thailand, begins with a girl smack-talking someone as she leaves the bus. She is being held back by a friend who remains quiet. The girl continues to point and exchange some heated words with the driver, who steps down from his post to return fire. Spectators watch from the ground, and others hang out of windows to witness the exchange. The shouting match continues in Thai with plenty of pointing and aggression. Another guy tries to intervene. He shouts at the girl and goes to slap her, but before he can, he is thrown back by a supernatural force. The spectators scream. The origin of this force seems to not be the shouting girl, but her silent friend who stood behind her. The quiet girl then steps forward and points her hand out, palm forward, and the bus driver flies up the side of the bus before dropping to the ground. The girl looks at her hands in amazement, as though this is the first time she's realized she has these scary supernatural powers. Everyone is quiet and staring at the girl. She turns in a circle, puts her hands out again, and a table and chairs fly backward. The bus driver yells at her, and she makes him fly into the air again, and even her friend backed away and won't come near her. The video ends with the girl looking down at her hands, collapsing to the ground, shaking and screaming shrilly, while the footage appears all too real, with no strings attached. Many in the YouTube comments call it out as a fake. YouTuber Pei Pina says, "I'm Thai, and Thai people like to make dramas with superpowers like this." While Jacob Zamet notes, the biggest flaw in this video is the fact that no one else is talking while the argument progresses, letting the main characters in this film be heard as the girl and the guy take turns. He also notes that video cameras or cell phones with video components, and it's unlikely that someone who just levitated would have another go at the person who just did it. All good points. Still a scary and intriguing video. You kind of wish it was real. Original footage. This video is, admittedly, hard to keep up with. The video is original footage from 1999 that was sent to a random station or address with no further information included. The quality is understandably low and glitches out several times. A general summary is that there's a group of what appears to be several teens drinking, chatting, and playing games. One of the games that gets pulled out is the Ouija board. Things are fine at first, and after playing with the board, a few clips pass and the doorbell rings. One boy, as well as the camera person, go to check the door and see no one is there. At first it seems like a case of ding dong ditch, but as they're standing at the front door, the bell begins to ring over and over again. The lights flicker as well, and the camera glitches severely.
Jesus Christ!
After the terrifying incident, the group comes together to discuss what happened. Loud knocks can be heard from above or somewhere in the distance. The group travels through the house in several chopped up clips trying to locate the noise, but every time they're in one location, the noise can be heard in a different location.
Listen, look, come again now. See, you hear that? And again? So, audience, whoever you are watching this, right now, I'm pretty much believing this house is haunted, and I'm pretty much believing we're experiencing it, yeah? A ghost situation.
The group even attempts to climb into the attic before the doorbell begins ringing again.
There, man, again, see? How the f*** is that happening?
Once they're all inside, the doorbell ringing and knocking begins again. Another sound can be heard which sounds like a scratching or clicking.
What the f*** is that? What the f*** is that? Jesus!
There's an alleged wolf cryptid that's said to roam the Allegheny National Park in Kane, Pennsylvania. The first sighting in 2017 describes it as tall, muscular, dark hair and strange legs. This newer sighting 2 years later at the same location does show a mysterious creature with long pointy wolf-like ears, but I'm not sure if it's real. First of all, when it takes a step at 44 seconds, the legs look normal and I'm pretty sure it's wearing clothes, not fur. Even the uploader of this video thinks it could have been a kid playing a joke. He says that the creature turned and ran after this video was taken, which I guess could have happened, but something about this video seems like it could have been made up, so I'm not exactly sure what to believe.
Jose Cruz is stuck at home in Arlington, Virginia, so he decides to take a random video of the rain. Only when looking at the video much later does he notice the ghost of a girl twisting in the wind for a brief moment before fading away. From what I understand, falling rain is one of the most difficult things to fake in terms of video editing, which makes me think the ghost sighting is real. The more times you look at it, the more it looks like she really does stop, consider him for a moment, and then goes on her way. I mean, wind or not, rain shouldn't move like that unless something is physically under it. Tim Morozov, or Tim Frost in English, is a Russian YouTuber who goes into places that spirits want him to stay out of. This time he has his eyes on an entire village that's been evacuated due to the presence of something mysterious, something neither you nor I can see. He picks the creepiest and most haunted looking cabin of them all, and unlike most ghost hunters, sets up high quality lighting to catch every last detail. It isn't long before Tim Frost thinks he sees a mist floating before his very eyes, but to be honest, I don't see anything.
What?
That mirror, on the other hand, is hard to miss. Tim takes it off the wall and is busy inspecting it with what sounds like beads falling off a necklace hit the floor from behind. If this is fake, then someone must have climbed the cabin and poured something onto the roof to create this sound, but that still doesn't explain what happens next. A ghost brushes by and hits the microphone of his camera at 12 minutes and 3 seconds. The mic moves by itself and everything, or maybe Tim's just lightly shaking it to create the illusion of movement. Then his light short circuits, unless, that is, he hits the strobe effect and then turns it off himself. Tim Frost knows that he has to explore the entire cabin, and that includes the basement. He takes the freaky mirror down there with him and starts snapping pictures with an old Polaroid camera for evidence. That's when a brick falls near him. There's a good chance he placed it there himself, because this ledge is an odd place for a brick to just so happen to be perched upon. But right as I say, I notice an orb fly over the brick right as it falls. So now I'm back to thinking it could be real and paranormal. Tim Frost unfortunately gets chased out by locals before he can gather much more evidence. He returns on a different day and selects another cabin. This one happens to still have power, which is odd, but I guess the electrical company could have made a mistake and not switched it off yet. Anyway, at 3 minutes and 45 seconds, he records a strange flickering white light against the wall. It stays with him for more than a minute, but then, at 6 minutes and 10 seconds, it goes away, almost like it goes into the next room, and then this happens.
Блин, что-то голова раскалывается, на самом деле. Спичка вроде все в порядке.
Suddenly, the lights go out and Tim finds himself alone in the dark, or so he thinks.
Как упали тарелки.
He uses an EMF meter to track something moving around with him, and when he hones in on its exact position, his lights start messing up. Also, an eerie mist is visible around his flashlight, but maybe it's dust. He follows the EMF meter up to an attic. His flashlight is flickering badly now, even though it was a solid beam only minutes before. What he hears next is not fake in my opinion. Too light to be a person, and yet all too near. In fact, it sounded like it was this door. But when he looks inside for himself, nothing is there. And get this, the flashlight of his camera is not the last of his lighting problems that night. When he set up his professional studio lights that he's never had a problem with before, they can't seem to stay on either. I would say that this was from faulty wiring with the cabin, but I think this light is running on its own battery and isn't plugged in at all. Posted by Cosmic Messenger 01, this video teaches you that what's ever lurking in the shadows isn't what you should fear. The shadows themselves are. Taken at the Campo Grande MS Penitentiary in Brazil. The grainy footage shows a dark gray barracks, appearing empty at night, although it's likely not empty, as clothes hang on wires out of each of the windows. Now watch on the bottom floor as something appears to be moving on the side of one wall. The shadow person begins to move upward before moving sideways and appearing to duck down behind some clothing. You can see the shadow duck out again, moving in an amoeba-like style, towards the wall and upward, before the shadow disappears out of sight. What is going on here? Is there a prison ghost here? Whatever it is, I don't want to find out. This eerie video has me doing a double take, published by Spot You Like in April of 2008. This scary clip is filmed outside the stunning New York Minster. The bells are ringing and the cameraman is taking it all in. He scans the cathedral and then starts walking toward it. A shot later, he is continuing on his way down a narrow shop lane. While the bells continue to sound, shops line either side of the street. But watch what happens in the upper window to the left. The cameraman zooms in on the ghostly pale face of a small child looking out the window. The child's eyes are dark and inky, and its face mask-like. As the camera zooms, the child disappears. The uploader notes that the house is called the Belfry and was built in the 17th century. Some in the comments claim to have stayed there and say that it has seriously spooky vibes. Is this the thing putting out those vibes? I'd say it's a pretty good chance.
Is he on the stairs? Is he standing there?
Yes.
Where?
That's the reaction of a YouTuber's daughter when asked to identify the man on the stairs. Her mom is very curious and wants to know more about what her daughter thinks she is seeing.
Where's the man? Where?
Man.
Show Mama where's the man.
Man stares, her daughter says in a tiny British accent. It would almost be cute if the paranormal implications weren't so terrifying. After all, she is talking about being watched by a stranger in their own living room. As the video continues, you can tell the girl becomes more afraid to look up from her toys. She obviously does not want to see the man by the stairs anymore. Though I have no idea what he looks like or what he's doing, the girl does not seem to be smiling or showing any other signs of making up a story, so I am inclined to believe this potential ghost sighting could be real. Let me know if you agree or not. This video was taken somewhere deep in the Philippines. To anyone watching from the Philippines, can you please listen to this and tell me if it sounds like any wildlife you have ever heard? It almost sounds more like a machine than a human. Take another listen and tell me if you agree. Every child has an imaginary friend, but this one is not so imaginary. Posted to TikTok by elkakoy.tv, a father enters his daughter's room around 7 p.m. as she laughs uncontrollably with someone. As the father rounds the corner, he says his daughter's name. Then he spots this figure peering out from behind her. He rushes over to find no one there, and his daughter looks as though she's in a trance that he can't shake her out of. What is going on here? While many in the comments admit this is too creepy, commenter xgamermamax sums up my feelings. She writes, "Well, I won't be sleeping today."
Hey, me. Hey, me.
A YouTuber named Exploring with Felicity is exploring an abandoned house when her solo paranormal investigation goes very wrong. She thinks she hears spooky and creepy noises upstairs, and I do too.
Very creepy.
Whatever it is, it doesn't sound like a wild animal.
I'm just trying to get used to.
She makes it to the second floor and is about to go to the third when a spectral figure passes by. We don't get to see if this was a real ghost sighting or a scary stranger dressed in all black because she is too busy running out of the abandoned house to get a closer look, which to some is all the paranormal evidence needed to conclude this scary video is probably real. A YouTuber named Sans the Skeleton 101 thinks he may have seen a monster lurking in his yard. The out-of-focus object looks like it could be a creature on all fours, but I'm just not sure. It doesn't really seem to be moving, and could just easily be a pile of dirt. Whatever it is, it sends Sans the Skeleton 101 running back into his house in terror. Let me know what you think it was, and if you think he was really in any significant danger at the time. There's a little ghost girl in my hallway, says a YouTuber named Kyleo Fisher, and I agree. You can probably see it too if you know to look here. If you stare into the darkness long enough, you'll see it. The barely noticeable outline of a figure with its arms down, neck bent, staring ahead. It can't be Kyleo because he is holding a camera, and this ghost girl in the hallway has her hands at her sides. Tell me if you can see the creepy figure.
Sketchy.
And if you still don't see it, don't worry, I've got you covered. And in my opinion, you can definitely see the pale outline of a ghost girl much better now. That's just beyond creepy. Marcus Webb has been feeling a presence in his house and decides to start recording. A white specter passing by is what he claims to find. I'm not sure if this is a dusty cobweb or something truly paranormal. All I know is that Marcus felt like he was not alone, and the camera verified that something moved nearby, which is definitely a creepy coincidence. A YouTuber named Michael Luzzi returns to Split Rock Road in New Jersey, to a spot where he claims a person once stood behind him and disappeared. Down a creepy old country trail, they see a light that looks like it could be coming from one of their phones or something, except there's a second light way higher up.
Oh, there's a light over there.
Yo, what the heck? What is that?
I don't think they belong to a radio tower or any other type of utility service because approximately 4 seconds later, the lights seem to move to the right of the tree. The eerie phantom lights return at 7 minutes and 45 seconds. Watch this part and give me your best rational explanation as to what this is, because I haven't even a guess. And less than a minute later, they see something way worse than lights, something that sends them running back to the car.
I don't know. That noise is definitely coming from over here somewhere. I said, what the f?
The faint outline of a person materializes against the dark backdrop of nothingness. They do happen to be hanging out with a third friend who is wearing dark clothes though, so while it could be him, for some reason I seriously doubt it. Can a person passing away stop the clocks? This video posted by LMonkA7X to the Ghosts subreddit calls that into question. Monk explains in the comments that his partner was working the night shift at the hospital when a patient passed at 3:11 a.m. Porters arrived to transport the body around 45 minutes later. Not long after, a nurse was logging the passing in the computer when she observed a clock's hand spinning rapidly. The passing was logged into the computer at 4:10 a.m. and a minute later the clock stopped spinning at 4:11 a.m., exactly an hour after the man's passing. While Monk admits to ordinarily being a skeptic, his partner's reaction to what happened, as well as everyone else's in the ward, convinced him that this was no practical joke, this was real. All who paid witness to the odd timing were shaken up over it. Being that the clock is analog and not digital, Monk suggests it's strange that the clock stopped on the exact right time of day after going berserk. He also believes that the whole thing was paranormal, being that the clock's actions coincided with the passing of the patient and the processes surrounding it. What do you think? Coincidence or not? The people of Reddit are on both sides of the fence. Either way, the timing couldn't have been creepier. When searching for ghosts in a haunted house abandoned in the jungle, be prepared to skip a step. This video, posted to YouTube by Pratik Paul in July of 2015, purports to show a real ghost girl in Matharan, India. The beautiful stone building in this clip is surrounded by foliage inside and out. The guide informs his audience about the house. According to him, it's one of the oldest houses in Matharan, built during an era when the East India Company ruled in India. A general in the East India Company lived here with his family, including his wife and kin. Although the general was a generous man, during the time of the revolution, the house was lit on fire by rebel villagers. The colonel and his family could not escape. Within 30 minutes, the house was up in flames. Some say you can hear the sound of footsteps within the haunted house, and it's a general rule that no one should enter after 5 p.m. The crew is here at 5:30, hoping to capture on camera the ghosts that are said to haunt the place. After feeling unsettled by something, the camera whirls around and cries out that something is there. You can't see anything in the thick surrounding foliage. Although the cameraman states he saw a shadow, the other guy notes that it's just a cat, man. But then again, he says something feels wrong. The cameraman zooms in on a window opposite, and a figure with black hair can be seen there. One of the men says they heard a sound. That's when they decide to book it out of there and fast.
What's that?
Sound, guys, I heard a sound right now.
Okay, let's leave.
Well, some are quick to call fake on this one. YouTuber Science Classes is a little more relenting, writing, "If it's true, then I too want to see that spirit. Do you too? Count me in as well." Most people have home surveillance cameras installed for a security measure, just in case somebody attempts to break into their house late at night or an unwanted visitor shows up. But Helen Brookshaw's home surveillance camera captured something much more terrifying than a burglar. It captured an unwanted visitor, but not the kind you'd think or hope for. focus your attention on the upper left side here. So let's count 1, 2, 3 ghostly figures here. Not just one, not just two, but 3 in total. And they just seem to be moving in unison, sort of just back and forth in this circle here. And to add to this, it also looks like this happens at a graveyard because these appear to be tombstones. The people who own this surveillance system must live beside a graveyard. And that makes sense because the title of this video is Ghost on My CCTV in Graveyard Next Door. So the fact that not only did they capture 3 paranormal presences on camera, but the fact that this also happens at a graveyard, I think just adds to how bizarre and creepy of a situation this is. I can't even begin to imagine how creepy it would be to have your home so close to a nearby cemetery or graveyard, but that seems to be the case for Helen. What gives this video even more credibility is exactly that. The footage is filmed in a graveyard, which is obviously going to be populated with ghosts and paranormal entities. And in this particular video, it seems like there are at least 3 or maybe 4 of them moving around in a strange, almost glitchy manner. Who knows? Maybe these are the spirits of passed away people going to pay their other family members a visit. This is one of the more popular videos that many people feel is clear evidence of Bigfoot. The video looks a little too blurry for me to be sure, but I don't recognize this scene from any movie or television series, so it could very well be real. If it is real, however, my only question is why this 5-second clip is so short. Maybe this person became afraid for their life when spotted and abruptly ran for cover. Mr. Hammer is a fearless ghost hunter from Saudi Arabia who is always charging forward no matter how scary things get while exploring haunted, abandoned places. He's exploring abandoned houses like usual when he begins to feel like he's being followed. Something's different about this urban exploration. He's not unsure if it's a paranormal encounter he's having or if a stranger is messing with him. Let's try to make sense of the scary stuff and creepy things happening in this bizarre video.
خوفكم يطلع لي حنش. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
The mysterious figure is what has been following him since he was first outside of the abandoned building. Ironically, a ghost sighting is what Mr. Hammer's after, but a ghost sighting is what he misses in real life. Somehow he does not see a creepy man looking at him from the doorway. Oh well, at least he caught it on tape for our analysis. I think this is more likely a friend of his pretending to make paranormal things happen instead of a real ghost sighting caught on camera. Almost anyone would have seen that mysterious figure in the doorway, especially if they were already on high alert. The historic Jefferson Hotel is a hotbed for paranormal activity, and this is one of the creepiest pieces of evidence yet. Published by the hotel in March of 2021, a security camera captured this incident in one of the hotel's hallways. In the clip, a guest of the hotel is seen looking for her husband. She asks a couple walking by if they've seen him. As they're talking, a deep guttural growl is heard. They all hear it and jump back. You can see their reaction here.
All jumped back as if something was like yelling at them down the hall. You could see they were all scared.
The couple walks away while the first guest is left alone with whatever made this noise. The hotel's caretaker says that the male guest seen in this video asked him where the speaker was. The man thought the hotel was in the business of ambiance, so had hidden speakers in the floor to add to the haunting atmosphere. The problem is that he was wrong. After being asked this, the caretaker, knowing there weren't any speakers, pulled up video from a second camera at the end of the hallway in the direction of the growl. This is what he found.
So, did you hear that growl?
The growl sounds very animalistic, almost demonic. Is this one of the many demons that haunt the halls of the Jefferson? Or is someone playing tricks? If you are a fan of Tales from the Crypt, this scary video is right up your alley. Published by Proving Demons in October of 2021, this video welcomes you to the land of the no longer living. When they arrive on site, the first thing that greets them is a cemetery.
Oh, it's a cemetery.
There's a cemetery here.
Navigating through brambles down to a lower entrance, they arrive at a barbed wire fence. It's clear that the owners didn't want anyone getting in here. They have to wade through the barbed wire to get to the door, having traveled 5 hours to explore this site.
Oh, please God, let it be open. We've traveled 5.5 hours.
At last, they arrive at the door and are thankfully able to open it. Wandering through the old church, they encounter several crypts. More open crypts and coffins are found at the end of the hallway, while well water floods the floor. A human skull is in one open coffin and there is human hair still on it.
Oh, no.
Come here. No. Education. So, I want to point out, just shine a light on it for me. There's still hair on its head. Still got teeth. Obviously, oh, that's rotting brain in there.
As he's prodding the skull head, they think they hear something down the hallway.
What?
What's wrong?
Examining the skull more closely, you can see it still has human hair and teeth. As they're talking about how it felt like someone was walking behind them, someone shushes them from what sounds like the corner of the room.
Really? What was that? Shh. Somebody just shushed us.
It seems this team of urban explorers has disturbed the peace. All I know is I would never be going back to that place. There's an eerie sound coming from the Golden Gate Bridge that is making people lose their minds. A constant haunting hum that can be heard from miles away. Try to guess what it is. Between the red rails is where the mysterious noise is coming from, and as it turns out, this is from a mistake in a recent redesign of the bridge. The new rails were mistakenly spaced apart just enough to let the wind come screeching through at an unbearable volume. It happened in June of 2020, and as of the time of this video, I was unable to find any evidence that it's been fixed. A store security cam in Malaysia has caught a ghost on tape, a strange figure that can teleport at will, and it's got the owners freaking out. I would be freaking out too. 55 seconds is when you can see there's nobody in these clothes. No chest, no head, no hands. Just clothes forming the outline of a person who isn't there. Then at 1 minute and 30 seconds, it sprouts a freaky gray featureless face. And did you see that even scarier, more mysterious figure behind her? 1 minute and 26 seconds is when a much taller shadow figure with a red face appears behind her and then mysteriously goes away. This could be a possession, a ghost, or a demon sighting, or even a hostile takeover from another planet, but it could also simply be video editing. Oh, and of course, this creepy encounter happened at 3:14 in the morning, just 14 minutes shy of 3 a.m., a time when the supernatural world is said to fully open with our own. A YouTube channel called Exploring with Angelina is with some friends, and they are exploring an abandoned house that was apparently the scene of some very horrible events. The house is certainly creepy, and as they explore, the video has a feeling of unease, almost like something could pop out at any second. But it's at the 9 minute and 32 second mark when Angelina's friend looks into a dark room that things get beyond strange. She sees something so creepy, it sends her leaving with a high-pitched scream.
Oh my god.
Inside the room is basically a spider fortress, with webs covering almost every inch of the room. I feel bad for any future urban explorer who accidentally walks into that room, especially if you have a fear of spiders. This would be enough to scare you for life. This pair of Russian men took the lives of some of the most vulnerable amongst us, the homeless, and they did it so cruelly that they thought it was best to film their evil. The young men used hammers and knives, taking the lives of 6 homeless people in November of 2010. They ranged from the age of 12 to 69. One of the young men's uncle discovered the video on his nephew's camera, and the pair were subsequently arrested and charged for their actions in April of 2013. One was given 24 years and the other was sentenced to life. Neither sentence seems long enough. Do you have the cojones to dance with the devil? Published by Devil's Hours Production in May of 2021. This scary video sees one paranormal investigator playing around with Beelzebub. Originally filmed in March of 2013, the crew gets a spike on the Mel meter after one of them asks the spirits to make their presence known.
Can you make your presence known?
Just so you know, Matt, we're getting a 0.1 spike on the Mel meter right now.
As they continue onward, the meter rises and rises and rises some more. When they specifically ask the spirit to raise the meter, it does.
0.1, 1.2, 1.3.
Is that you? Speaking to this device right here. I heard another one. Is that you? Speaking to this device right here. I heard another voice. Oh, that could have been a car. Hold on.
They continue walking when they suddenly hear a girl giggling. The girl remains with them, and she makes her presence known.
Who's caught on here?
7.6.
I just heard a little girl.
0.6.
You go up to that antenna right now and you touch it, it will go off, and that's how we can know that it's you.
The pair capture the creepy image on camera. It looks very much like a small girl, and later they hear a demonic hissing noise. Is this the soul of a little girl? Or is it the devil pretending? This abandoned house was a favorite haunt for squatters, and now it will soon be the favorite haunt of urban explorers. Published to YouTube by Lomar Mendez in March 2021, Omar and Chelsea dig right into this seriously creepy house, littered with random garbage left behind, graffiti on the walls, and antique gems that look like they've been around for at least a century. Wandering through the house, Omar opens a door, and as he does, listen closely. You can hear a voice whisper, "Look."
I don't know, I haven't really been here in about a year and a half. The very first time we came here, we actually found homeless people stuff upstairs.
A detour into the bathroom brings viewers one of the grossest things seen in this top 10, a pile of discarded hair in the sink. They enter a bedroom, which might explain all the hair, as the room once housed people. Their belongings are still scattered across the floor. Further along, they find scraps of paper with strange noises written on them. They say, "disintegrates with light," and zap the ground. As they're heading upstairs, something falls in the room behind them, pushing them to pick up the pace. But now they have one problem. There's no way out. They wait around upstairs, but no one approaches, and nothing more is heard. Using an electromagnetic field detector, they sense energy in the home. Though the electricity isn't on, it's a steady current.
Look at that. Is there a spirit in here? Was this your house? Yo, it's steady. Like, for real.
The necrophonic device they use in the basement seems to confirm that energy. When they ask who's in the house with them, a voice says hi, and later, "Sir, hi."
Who's in here with us?
I'm hiding.
Are you hiding?
They continue to communicate with the spirits, and an orb appears in the top right corner of the door. Did a spirit just enter?
Was this your home?
They ask the spirits to make a noise for them. It almost sounds like it says ghost.
Can you make a noise for us?
They both start to feel ill and uneasy. As they're getting ready to leave, Omar says he felt like the entire house shook.
I almost thought it almost felt like the house shook. Like the entire house, right there, just shook.
I don't think I could have done that. That's like demonic.
Not long after, while they're speaking to each other, an orb appears to drift from Chelsea's head.
I don't know, but it's like really eerie quiet now, and like...
Yeah, it's really quiet.
Have the spirits attached to their new hosts? If that's the case, that would truly Mamma Mia. This crab fisherman caught more than he bargained for. Published by Casey's Spotlight. Believe it or not, this is a real thing that's swimming in the waters of our oceans. Known as a wolf eel, this super creepy species dwells in the North Pacific. With a tail that stretches some 8 feet, wolf eels often wrap themselves up into caves, launching out with their wolfish heads to snatch prey, usually shellfish, urchins, and crabs. With crabs crawling in the cage alongside him, this particular wolf eel appears to be mid-meal as there's something large in its mouth. The fishermen pull the object out of the eel's mouth. What do you think of this creepy creature? My advice? Steer clear of taking an icy dip in the North Atlantic. A woman has a full-on break from reality while on public transportation. She carries a full conversation with herself in some sort of laughing tone that only she can understand. Then she becomes absolutely overwhelmed with grief before snapping out of it. When someone approaches her to offer comfort, she switches back to laughter with a glare. The person wisely keeps their distance and does not come any closer. Next, the woman pulls out a dirty towel with stains and disappears into her own world, apparently laughing again. I really hope she gets the help she needs, because this seems like some sort of mental episode that needs to be treated fast. She and everyone around her are lucky that this didn't escalate to the point where someone had to physically intervene. A race car driver finds himself in one of the worst predicaments possible when the steering wheel breaks off in his hands shortly after kicking it into high gear by itself. Judging by his right leg, it doesn't look like he hit the gas at all. The only thing left to do to keep from flying into the wall is pull the emergency brake, which he grabs immediately after fumbling a moment more with the now non-existent controls. The faraway look in his eyes at the end of it all says everything. He knows exactly how much danger he was in, and that he's lucky to still be alive. These campers aren't going to get any more sleep tonight. Posted to TikTok by Eagle Trindade. One camper opens their tent flap to reveal 4 enormous crocodiles waiting just outside their door. And that's not even the scariest part. At least a dozen pairs of eyes are gleaming in the darkness. The man closes the tent flap as if that weak nylon and polyester is going to save him from this army of chompers. While some in the comments are saying this is more terrifying than a horror movie, others are just wondering how these guys made it out of their tent. Are these crocodiles just trying to get warm? Or are they out for a midnight snack?
Ai, meu Deus do céu! Vocês estão entendendo o quanto de jacaré tem aqui? Ai, meu Deus.
Na barraca, literalmente pra acampar. Vamos dormir aqui, guys?
If you're thinking of messing with Bloody Mary, think again. The Shadowhunters team learned this lesson the hard way. In this video, they investigate. After one of their devices is triggered in this haunted place, they mess with the spirits here.
Nossa, mano, olha lá. Olha lá, Yuri, olha lá.
They find the word Mary written on a mirror.
É o espelho, mano. Tentar filmar certinho aqui. Olha isso aqui, mano.
Then they do what you're told never to do.
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary.
And she appears.
What is this? Ela.
And they face the consequences.
Nossa senhora! Nossa, mano! Tira ele daqui! Tira! Tira ele daqui! Vem, Thor, vem! Vem!
With his friend injured, one of the crew appears to go seek revenge against the demon. But as he tries to, this happens. Do you believe in Bloody Mary? The Shadowhunters certainly do now. An unknown creature has been caught on camera in the sky of all places.
What is this? What the is this thing in the air?
A stunned woman begins to question her life and her sanity upon recording a creature with tentacle-like appendages flapping about in mid-air. She's parked on the far end of a not-so-busy lot, so that explains the general lack of other witnesses. I'm pretty sure this creature sighting's not real, because this is the only video I could find of it. It would be hard to miss a giant creature wiggling in the skyline like this, so you would think there would be more. My best guess is they've superimposed video of a jellyfish or some other deep sea creature over the sky to create this monster, but I'm not a special effects expert, so who knows? When 4 teens disappeared in August of 2008 in Melbourne, Australia, a local search party discovered this found footage in November of the same year near an abandoned hospital. Shortly after, it apparently began making rounds on Australian news outlets. At the start of the video, the boys appear to be cruising down a highway, then further down a dirt road. At one point, they exit the vehicle, and they think they hear a sound coming from the darkness.
In that area, there's sounds coming.
They approach a gate with a sign that says private property, no trespassing. They ignore it. They find a hole in the fence and decide to enter anyway. As they're walking along in the dark, they come across a red substance splattered on the ground. Regardless, they continue on, and that's where the footage ends. A walk into the darkness. They were never seen or heard from again. If you have any info on their whereabouts, please visit missingpersons.gov.au. When you think you're home alone, and then this happens. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Esco Season 95, the Redditor writes, I was messing around with my dog, just us two were home, and my door did this. The video shows the Redditor playing with her dog's mouth, baring his teeth, when suddenly behind him, the door, which is opened into the bedroom, slowly swings closed before slamming shut. She specifies that her door never closes like this, and there were no doors or windows open to create a draft. Well, some think there are too many ways to fake videos with closing doors. Others don't believe it's faked, but cite air pressure or other circumstances that might have caused this. Dark Lord of Pretzels writes, whether or not it's paranormal doesn't matter, because if I was home alone and that exact scenario happened to me, I'd nope out of there so fast. I feel like most of us would agree with that statement. The Haunted Side is a ghost hunting channel in Reno, Nevada, led by Patrick McCreary, a paranormal investigator who has been experiencing ghost sightings since the age of 9, and he likes exploring abandoned places where something has gone wrong in the past. Tonight, he and his fellow ghost hunter, Jason Spencer, will explore the Truckee house, a creepy and cursed place haunted by the spirits of a mother, father, and 3 children ever since they were slain by a random madman sometime in the 1940s. Within minutes, the Haunted Side detects supernatural activity on their equipment. The paranormal energy is so strong that the ghost family can finish his sentence.
We don't mean you any harm. If somebody came in here and hurt my throat, did you hear that? Yeah.
A weak and weary ghost voice must belong to the father. His EVP responses always make sense, like here when they ask him to read some graffiti on the wall.
What does that say? Can you tell us what that says? That was creepy.
On the top floor is a small rotten room that is mostly withered away from the elements. The scary disembodied voice of the father follows, hopeless as ever as it advises them not to walk across the weak floor.
Be very careful. Is this safe for me to do this? No.
They walk around the perimeter of the house instead for more paranormal evidence, and sure enough, the 2 explorers hear more possible ghost noises.
Did you hear that?
The ghost hunter is understandably a little too creeped out to talk.
A young sounding, like almost cry. Like, but like young.
But in other words, it's a little ghost girl crying from the nearby haunted woods.
Did you hear that?
A few minutes later, they record this ghost sighting on video as the hand of a child pulls away from them at the last moment, a hand that's reaching out from the basement window. Although this could be the tail of a rat as it scurries away. With that said, some people claim to see a scary face looking not too far from where the ghost hand was sighted. I think I see it, but then again it kind of looks like a rock in the grass, so who knows? The exploration continues inside. Their paranormal tracking equipment is able to pick out the wireframe of Jason, which proves it works, and then it detects a second mysterious figure pressed up against a support column, like it's hiding from them. Soon the scary moment goes from a ghost sighting to actual paranormal contact.
The part right now is this floor. Yeah,
are you see into the basement?
Are you down in the basement?
Both ghost sightings cease when Jason can no longer take the cold and has to walk away. The question is whether or not this was a friendly gesture or a more serious encounter, maybe even an attempt at demonic possession. A ghost was seen in Benares, India, walking across rooftops. The sighting scared many locals and led to a police investigation. Twitter user Benaresians tweeted this video of the incident. Did you see the figure? Take a closer look. So far, the police haven't discovered what the figure was or who was behind it. Maybe that's because it's absolutely real. What do you think? I'm on the fence with this one. Worst nightmare is to be buried alive. This stunt will have you panicking. Just like Ryan, published in May of 2021. Ryan Prunty's stunt saw him buried alive for 51 hours in an attempt to try and break Mr. Beast's world record. Well, in his buried box, Ryan starts panicking and screams the safe word. The team begins the task of unburying his coffin. Which is filled with water and garbage. They aren't moving fast enough for Ryan's taste, and the screws keep getting stripped.
It's stripped, we're getting this off. Yeah, actually. Yeah, Carter stripped both up. Look. What do you mean, look? I'm in a box!
Finally, they manage to pull off the lid, and Ryan is freed, and I'm sure he was never happier to see the light of day again.
Oh my holy moly. You alright, buddy? Man, dude, you make a mess. We leave you down here for 25 hours and you leave it looking like this?
A YouTuber named Nathan Laird posted this video as a warning to others to stay away from a woman whose behavior really freaked him out. He's riding around his neighborhood in Vacaville, California, when he says a woman throws garbage on the ground. This bothers him, so he picks up the trash and follows her to redeliver it, along with a valuable message about littering.
Excuse me? I think he dropped this.
Give it.
I have that on film.
Watch again, and it appears that she tries to rip his camera off, and after that fails, she smacks at it out of anger. She's eating an orange and probably dropped part of the peel on the ground, which you could argue isn't as severe as littering other things. But still, this is just a little kid who is trying to do what he thought was right, so there's no reason to react like this. She could have apologized or politely told him it's biodegradable, but instead she physically touches him, which does not seem appropriate since she's supposed to be the adult here. A user named Josiah Worley has some of the best paranormal evidence on TikTok of a ghost haunting his room on the attic floor. He's recording his game table after a card leaped off the deck, and soon a cup is moving by itself, or more accurately, a ghost is moving the cup if you ask Josiah. He handles the cup immediately after, and you can see there's no string. On another night, with one hand on the camera and the other hand on the mattress, Josiah watches an object move by itself.
Mom?
And later it crawls across the floor.
Bro. Are you good, bro? You good, bro? Do you see any strings? Did you guys see it move?
There are no editing cuts when he walks up to the medicine bottle. This object moved on its own. This happens night after night until finally he tries to communicate with the ghost. He makes the mistake of acting annoyed, which I think ramps things up considerably.
What's good? You're kind of making noises. You're kind of being really loud. It's really irritating. Okay.
In my opinion, the ghost wants nothing more than to be acknowledged, but Josiah wants nothing more than to be left alone. It's a conflict that's bound to create paranormal tension in the long run. The paranormal activity doesn't stop, and so he gets in the habit of recording his room all of the time.
It's almost sunrise. Almost f***ing sunrise. What was that? Where'd that go?
This ghost orb in particular curves around and appears in front of him when he wants to know what it is. The caption says maybe I should ignore it, but in my opinion that will only make things even more unpleasant for him in the long run. I think the ghost hates being ignored and is moving objects because it refuses to go unheard. I don't think it wants Josiah out of the apartment. When he says he's going to move out is when it becomes absolutely enraged.
I'm gonna end up leaving.
If anything, it wants him to keep it company forever. Josiah decides to use a ghost hunting TikTok filter called the reality ripple to finally catch a ghost sighting on his phone camera. It isn't long before objects are moving on their own again, and the colors on his screen change to indicate a ghost is near.
Do you guys hear that? No, that doesn't make sense. No, stop.
While looking at the still frame, gaze into the paranormal energy, you can see a yellow phantom figure reaching out. I've circled its head with long hair and pointed at its arm to help you better see it. The figure seems to be grabbing at the area where the object fell over. All of this creeps Josiah out badly enough to ask the ghost, point blank, to do something specific if he's safe.
I got one question for you. Am I safe? If I am, then please knock over the cups. Oh, you saw that.
A cup does not move by itself, but the ghost does push a bag off the table. This is definitely a reply, and I guess it means that he's not safe because it moves a different object than the one he asked it to. Ever since then, things have quieted down, so maybe Josiah just needed to ask for permission to live here, or maybe this strange and cryptic poltergeist is biding its time, letting him lower his guard before moving on to the next phase of his horrible haunting. A YouTuber named Alyssa Cross is driving down a local road somewhere in the south when she comes across a person who she has never seen before acting quite strangely by the side of the road. You can hear the nervousness in Alyssa's voice as she and her friend agree that it looks like this person could have some sort of strange virus, zombie or not. One can only wonder how many other viral outbreaks began in this exact same casual style of conversation. It appears that if that's not the case, then this person is under the influence of something strong. Alyssa quietly drives past and leaves the stranger behind. Check out one of the scariest things caught on CCTV video at this haunted restaurant. It's a quiet Wednesday evening with hardly any customers and only a few employees clocked in. No one is nearby when this glass lurches forward in a jerky movement, so subtle that it's hard to see at first. The manager zooms in because they can't believe what they are seeing, and sure enough, 4 seconds later, the glass moves by itself again and tips over. They think a ghost moved the object, but I'm not so sure. I know if the bottom was wet, then condensation could have made it move across the counter on its own. So is this a ghost moving objects, or just basic physics in action? The CCTV moment is too creepy for me to easily decide. Built in the 1800s, the historic Jefferson Hotel in Jefferson, Texas is haunted as can be. Every once in a while, it's not uncommon for a guest or two to complain about hearing voices at night or feeling a hand grazed by their cheek while dozing off. The owner of the hotel is doing some remodeling and walks past a door that suddenly opens all by itself. He says that the door was securely shut and that he actually heard it unlock before it opened. The scary CCTV video does in fact show him turning around a second before the door opens, so his story indeed checks out, but that's not even the scariest moments caught on camera by him. This is way worse. Creepy video of the same hallway on a different night depicts a dark shadow passing over the green door at the far end, a room where most of the activity takes place besides this hall, and when it does so, the lamp turns off on its own. Considering a jilted bride once took her life here, and the spirits of countless children are known to play tricks, this bizarre shadow person could be any of the usual suspects. I believe this ghost video's real simply based on the hotel's legendary haunted status alone. With videos this creepy, it's a wonder anyone would want to stay here for long, unless they were purposefully trying to get scared. A YouTube channel called Kiwi in Japan has the creepy encounter of a lifetime that leaves everyone screaming with fear and excitement in the kitchen.
Oh!
That is freaky. That is so scary. Oh, yuck. With a bowl in one hand and a piece of paper in the other, he hatches a plan to cover the spider and slip the paper underneath to contain it. It doesn't end well.
You ready? Ah! Oh, sorry. Okay.
What is it?
At 1 minute and 14 seconds, the spider literally jumps out of the way and almost lands on his arm. He's wearing no gloves and a short sleeve shirt when it happens, meaning he's completely vulnerable. Fortunately, it's more interested in finding shelter than battling back. It's fast enough to evade him 3 more times, but with legs that long, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. After a final showdown in the closet, he apprehends the arachnid and sends it back on its way to nature with a final toss. I bet they're really glad to have gotten rid of it. I don't think I could still live someplace where I saw a spider take up a whole entire room of a corner before. At least not until it was taken out of the house, and I'm definitely not sure if I would have been brave enough to try and capture it. Talk about scary stuff. Things can get out of hand. This video reveals when people and things have gone just a little too far. Sometimes those darndest things send chills down our spine. This video will make you question the afterlife. Tariq Elite writes, a woman goes to her mother's grave to visit. Her little girl seems to be waving and talking to someone and even kisses them.
Where are you waving at, Leah?
Bye, kid. Bye-bye.
Tariq goes on to ask if it's true that they can see into spiritual realms. The video shows a sweet girl, likely not older than 2, standing near a headstone waving. She appears to be looking up into the nothingness but seeing something. She greets the invisible specter, standing on the top of the grave to get a better look. She even reaches with one pointed finger before dismounting from the grave. Some in the comments suggest that the young girl's frequency hasn't been fully compromised yet by the earth, while others say that our ancestors are always with us. Do you agree? Are young ones able to visually access a frequency that we're not capable of reaching? This video seems to be proof that there really is something just beyond the veil. A YouTuber named Tanner Shelton is trying to clear his mind by making a TikTok video at the mall when he accidentally records a phantom figure that disappears after a brief but horrifying moment.
Hey guys, so I decided to just get out of the house today. I think it's probably good for me to keep my mind off of things and just...
She has long black hair over her eyes and a white outfit, and the way she is rooted in place hardly looks like an ordinary shopper going about their day. He admittedly does give her ample time to go back around the corner, so this could have been planned. An abandoned school that served as a German headquarters a long time ago. A ghostly female apparition spotted in the window. This dilapidated site is ripe for exploration. Originally published by Dark Ghost Paranormal, this scary video follows Dennis as he takes on the challenge. Using a spirit box, Dennis tries to find out what is going on here. The spirit box immediately informs him that a spirit is here. She says that he doesn't know her. After asking if she burnt the place down, she answers in the affirmative.
Это ты сожгла это помещение?
Да.
She also says, they did it to me, they burned me.
Они это сделали со мной.
And Dennis is told they're in the basement, whoever they are. Dennis heads inside to have a look. After asking for a sign of the spirit's presence, he is given one.
Надо где-то еще искать.
Down in the basement, he finds something like a bunker. While speaking with the spirits, a box makes a noise in the corner. His lights go out, and he hears mysterious knocks in the room. He tries the door at the end of the room, but it seems shut tight. When he asks the spirits through the spirit box what they want from him, they have a simple answer.
Что тебе нужно от меня? Скажи, что тебе нужно от меня?
After the spirits warn him to leave, and the lights go out again, suddenly he looks up to find the door open. He gathers his stuff and gets out of there in the nick of time. Another camera on the outside of the room captures the door opening on its own. Is this the spirit of whoever set fire to the lady in the window? Or is it the lady herself? A YouTuber named Dark Corners is exploring the deep web when he comes across a video that he instantly regrets watching due to a possible curse. A nauseating noise forces him to take off his headphones, and even though it's in a different language, he still knows that he has witnessed something he was never meant to see. If you are able to read Japanese, please translate the text into English so we can all better understand. I just wanted to add that this long beep is exactly the same noise that hospital equipment makes when you flatline, which leads me to think that this text could be talking about ending your very life. Let me know if you think my suspicions are correct, or if I was way off with this assumption. This scary moment taken by the McD3 in the Isle of Palms, South Carolina, shows how even a relaxing family vacation at the beach is never truly safe.
Hey, get her out!
The mother has her back turned and misses it, but the father sees a small shark fin and tells her to run away. I don't think the juvenile shark was actively going after them, but what's really scary when you think about it is how the deep sea creature has already gone past before it gets noticed. Had the shark been just a few feet closer to shore, it would have been directly in their path. And we all know that when sharks are surprised, they rely on their teeth to get out of the situation. It doesn't look like anyone else is in the water, but if there is a nearby lifeguard, then I hope they report the shark so they could get everyone to safety. This Snapchat video was taken at a school in Esterville, Iowa. You can see a deer standing outside looking very confused before it suddenly tries to get in without warning.
Watch out!
Clearly, the zombie deer wants to get inside however it can, searching around the sides of the glass for an opening before giving up and resuming its confused vegetative state. Those inside are lucky that this deer is too small to break the glass. If this was a full-grown deer running at them, things could have been much different. Hopefully, they contacted animal control and thoroughly disinfected this door before letting anyone touch it. If you ever crept through cemeteries looking for ghosts, then you might regret finding them. This video was posted in March of 2012 saying, "Been taking video of local cemeteries for a while and examining them from frame to frame. Found the image of what looks like the ghost of a young boy from around the early 1900s by the way he is dressed. The video was filmed in Kinder Cemetery. And as the sign reads, the cemetery was established in 1902, so plenty of time for ghosts to lay down their claim. As the camera pans the cemetery, you can see a short-lived flash of light near a grave. Can you spot it? While some in the comments of this video doubt that it was anything more than a flash, others like YouTuber Dang Cho claim to see hair sticking out of the red circle. YouTuber Yvette Sanchez notes that it is an apparition. Of course, the ghost is not going to be easy to spot, but if you look hard enough, you can see something is there. While you can certainly see a flash, it's a bit of a stretch to say the ghost is of a young boy from the early 1900s in my opinion. You can't really make out anything more than the light. But what is that glow? Is it the young spirit shining, or is it just a trick of the light?
What the heck?
Blake Newdorf is fishing with his dad on a pier in Kelowna, BC when he sees a giant creature off in the distance, at least 60 feet according to his estimate. Blake is sure that this is the famous Ogopogo lake monster. Apparently, it has some kind of sharp scales, from what he says here at 1 minute and 13 seconds.
It looks like it has spikes.
The camera is not good enough to pick up much detail aside from a basic outline. I think it kind of looks like it could be a piece of driftwood, but I guess at 60 feet long it would have to be a whole tree. Whatever it is, it floats around the bend where the water channels into a small bay. According to Blake, when they went around the corner to follow it, it was suddenly gone. Unfortunately, by that point, they had for some reason stopped recording. If what they are saying is true though, then this couldn't have been driftwood. This security camera caught some very unsettling footage. Published by Blah Blah in March of 2020, a camera monitoring a baby captured what looks like a near taking by a demon. The baby is being pulled backward by something invisible, prompting some in the comments to believe that demons are afoot. At the start of the video, the infant is tossing and turning on a mattress on the floor. The clip cuts, and she is later seen on the floor, having somehow made it off of the mattress. It's unclear if the baby was moved there by force or of her own volition. As she cries, it appears as though one of her legs is being pulled, and she inches slowly backward. She doesn't appear to be in control of her movement. As she is pulled, she continues to cry, when at last she is yanked out of view. What is reeling this poor child in? Is it a demon fishing for fresh souls or some other bad entity? What you don't know can't panic you, right? Posted to Reddit, the uploader, Jason Green 3 explains in the comments, on April 25th, 2013, at about 9:20 p.m. local time, an unknown object at low altitude flew directly across the Rafael Hernandez Airport runway in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, causing a delayed departure of a commercial aircraft. Green continues on, explaining that this infrared video on the thermal imaging systems of the CPB DHC-8 aircraft was captured by US authorities. This video is reportedly obtained legitimately by an anonymous source. According to their information, the object, between 3 to 5 feet wide, was flying around various speeds between 40 and 120 miles per hour with an 80 mile per hour median speed. When it entered the water, its speed did not slow down or demonstrate obvious impact, traveling at a similar average speed as it had in the air. Upon entering the ocean, the object spilt, re-emerged for an instant, and then both pieces traveled at the same speed. The Redditor writes that there's no known origin for this object, and no clue as to what might travel at these speeds through air and water. At least one Redditor suggests it's a weather balloon, while most others accept that this is an unidentified flying device. What do you think this could be, and are you panicked? Susan Payton 1 is enjoying some quality time with her family when she and her husband both notice something grab the attention of their infant toddler.
What am I doing?
The child's face changes from amusement to confusion as he apparently turns to watch something pass by. Then, moments later, an orb silently streaks overhead. Even stranger are the song lyrics playing in the background. Something appears to walk past the child and possibly exit the room just as the children's song announces, "Say bye-bye." A YouTube channel called Kiwi in Japan has the creepy encounter of a lifetime that leaves everyone screaming with fear and excitement in the kitchen.
Oh, that is freaky. That is so scary. Oh, yuck.
With a bowl in one hand and a piece of paper in the other, he hatches a plan to cover the spider and slip the paper underneath to contain it. It doesn't end well.
You ready? Oh, sorry. Okay.
What is it?
At 1 minute and 14 seconds, the spider literally jumps out of the way and almost lands on his arm. He's wearing no gloves and a short sleeve shirt when it happens, meaning he's completely vulnerable. Unfortunately, it's more interested in finding shelter than battling back. It's fast enough to evade him 3 more times, but with legs that long, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. After a final showdown in the closet, he apprehends the arachnid and sends it back on its way to nature with a final toss. I bet they're really glad to have gotten rid of it. I don't think I could still live someplace where I saw a spider take up a whole entire room of a corner before. At least not until it was taken out of the house, and I'm definitely not sure if I would have been brave enough to try and capture it. Talk about scary stuff. Thank you so much for getting me to 40,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Can you help me reach 50,000 subscribers? Thank you.